now, they're as cold or as hot as the veterans in the league. Having one more game. To just get the sweep, and the Paquito will be the third ban for Work Oster. Will the Alice ban go out for their third?
Yeah, it's a big question. They're either gonna ban out the Alice or the Benedetta here. They might stick with still a Benedetta ban. We don't see a lot of first phase Alice bans. So yeah, they do stick with the Benedetta ban. And Work Oster Force here, their first pick. Jawhead is still open again. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Jawhead is a fantastic first pick. And there's a reason why a lot of teams actually ban that out. So this might be, Jawhead first pick.
Yeah.
And now for Aura PH, their response, they might want to consider locking in the Granger, but then not get the Cho. They can consider holding on that. The Uranus didn't work out so well for them, so they can pick up the Alice here along with the Granger for Benny Cutie and Jape. And for Lord Hades.
You know what? Good that you mentioned that. It's actually a strategy for Aura PH as well to just steal away the Alice. You've already given the Jawhead, but you have two priority picks for your side. But looks like they're not gonna go for stealing the Alice. They're gonna steal the Kagura instead and go for the Cho once more. And speaking of Kagura, RTZ played a stellar Kagura in Game 1. One of the factors that gave them a lot of kills around the mid lane and around the turtle as well. So Work Oster Force, they need to be able to respond to this Kagura pick. And speaking of response to the Kagura pick, we already have a lot of open options. There are no Lunox bans, no Eve, no Farsa, and they go for the Lunox instead.
Yeah, and now Work Oster Force, they're not going for the same strategy, but they tweak some things.
Merong pattern no? May nakikita patterns para sa dalawang teams na to. Pero nasasabi ko dito,
Rather.
Wow.
So it's a good safe pick. Even Greed joked about it at one point when he had one game with Eve. Greed said on social media, "Sorry guys, I only know how to play Kagura."
But you know, one tricks are one tricks for a reason, and even if Greed is technically not a Kagura one trick, it is indeed one of the comfort picks that Greed holds. And if you give Greed that Kagura, most likely he will be able to move around freely, make more plays, and give Aura PH more wins if necessary. But we will be going back to the banning phase here. It looks like Aura PH will ban out the Lapu Lapu, something that they actually used in Game 1. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the Lapu Lapu went onto the side of Work Oster Force.
Your
Take
team
that away.
is
And
banning.
now, for Aura PH, great ban, by the way, on the Khalid. Work Oster Force might actually even ban out the Towns here, since they're up against Kilowatch. And for Kilowatch heroes, we've only seen him play the Towns, Khalid, Benedetta Cho, and Yu Zhong. We haven't seen him pick up a Baksha yet. Still, we're not sure if we are going to be able to see a Baksha because Alice can still be picked up here by Work. And Work Oster Force might actually want to take that risk. If they have their eyes set on the Alice, the fact that they don't have to... They, so far, based on the stats, no record yet of the Baksha getting picked up by Aura. If Kilowatch is on the floor, though they have one with Rafflesia, I could see a Alice pick eventually here for Work Oster Force. And then for their fighter, they might want to consider picking up the... Actually...
Your team is banning.
Baksha themselves.
But they go through with the Alice ban. Aura PH,
Great
they
ban.
figured out that they do not want to deal with Kosei's Alice anymore. Bans it out on the final ban of Game 2. And now Work Oster Force, they need to be able to put Kosei into another hero that he's very comfortable with. Work Oster Force, right now, in terms of comfort, Kosei still has a little bit of hero pool in it. But they go for another comfort ban though, the Thams.
Yeah, Work Oster Force, they might last pick here the Uranus for 3 Martezi and then the Esmeralda for Kosei or the Harith because those are still available for him. Now, there is also the threat of the Bane for Work. So Aura PH here, their fighter pick is going to be absolutely crucial. Because of Work Force banning out the Khalid and Tams, I really think they're going to go
Your
for that
team is
Uranus and that either Esmeralda and Harith pick. I like the Baksha pick up here by Aura PH.
Definitely a smart pick coming in from Aura PH here. The Baksha will be able to secure the front lines for quite a long time, and even if the Jawhead does get in and be able to just eject him back to the team, he would thank the Jawhead for it. Thank you for sending me back to your team. It's just gonna be a fun time for me. And Work Force, weirdly enough, they're gonna secure the Uranus. And can you talk about the Baksha versus Uranus, not matchup, but more in the interactions of these heroes?
Well, yeah, the healing from the Baksha mark can be can help reduce the regeneration capabilities of the Uranus, and then out of left field, now the Workaster Force picking up the Farsa. I like this. Some surprises now coming from Aura PH. This is going to be their first time rocking the Baksha for Kilowatt. Meanwhile, for Workaster Force, it's going to be the first time they're rocking the Farsa, most likely for Kosei.
And you could see that both teams really prepared for this matchup. They got their surprise picks out already, and for Aura PH, this Baksha pick would prove to be useful to just limit the healing.
Fantastic damage and fantastic to sustain. It's also relatively hard to catch because his abilities have a good amount of dashes embedded into it for use. So that's going to help out very hugely from dodging the potential feather air strikes coming down from Workaster Force. So actually, they're going to, yeah, it is going to be a Warsaw for Kosei and a Lunox for our teasing interesting draft surprises. Bren brought back the Alpha. Now it's Oro who brings back the Bardas. I'm so excited for this game. Oh, man. Game 2, Workaster Force versus Aura PH. It seems that both teams have prepared for this in weird ways that we did not expect. It's going to be the debut game for the Bartis, and will it be able to give Aura PH the win that they desperately need to just extend the series to the best of 3? Right now, we're going to enter the land of dawn. 3 people in the mid lane for both teams, and looks like we're in for a big surprise. I'm still surprised right now with the base, but yeah, Kilowatt gets 3 more TC. 3 more TC has to be careful against this Baksha because of that second skill shield on spam. That's why he actually went for that first skill. Quick wave cleared, and then at the same time, you're going to be able to really just annoy the heck out of this Uranus. Look at that, 3 more TC having hard
Shield toss spam. That's why he actually went for that first skill. Quick wave clear, and then at the same time, you're going to be able to really just annoy the heck out of this Uranus.
Side, Kilowatt, 3 more TC. This is going to be a long tickle fight here. Kilowatt still alive. And along with the damage that and sustain that the Martis can bring up, good control as well. He has a good amount of stuns. So look at that, the confidence by Benny QP who just go after him, and he is rocking a killing spree. Killing spree, as expected, into the flicker as well. So he'll be able to go this distance against that Marsa. He has to be really careful against this because he can get more control. After all, they hurt. They really hurt. They just feel bad. This is able to secure at least the most distance.
Kilowatt though, very low in HP, has to recall. Still, no big action just yet. 2 kills going to the side of Aura PH, but Workaster Force will be the ones to start the turtle.
Yeah, and now Aura here has to watch out for the aggression of Chu suddenly because he's not going to be scared to just dive in.
Speaking of aggression though, that's immediate damage going down to the Jawhead, and the first kill will go to Aura PH. 3-0 is a kill score right now. RTZ has to go back.
Here
Chu's
comes
still
Benny.
alive. He's still inside the turtle pit. He has to go out of there. Phantom execution, defensively used. Kilowatt going in. That's a stun going on. 3 Martisi, no more mana. Will he be able to survive? Benny Cutie with the Mortar Core. Aura PH getting 4 kills.
Wow, and now we're seeing here Martis instantly coming into effect for Aura PH. He gets the first kill, and then at the same time with a good time, well-timed rotation, able to get out. And now this is how important getting the first kill against this Farsa was. Kosei's mentality now is, oh man, I gotta play defensively, I gotta be careful here. So he's gonna be slightly more passive. So Benny Cutie, knowing this, he'll be able to just clear wave, rotate right away. The payoff for that though, or the trade for that, is that Work Oster Force Kosei might not even rotate as much and instead try to focus on pushing the bottom lane. So JP is doing the right call here and actually helping Benny Cutie with disrupting that.
And speaking of disruption, I just have to say Unravel seems to be looking for greed. No Umbrella Flea available, and that's going to be a kill for the Lunox. But JP on the backside will give the killing spree to the Martis, and Benny Cutie, once again a pioneer, getting out the Bane in week 2. And now in week 4, let's get out the Martis.
You know what? Let me hold that thought. I'm gonna hop onto the client real quick and just instantly buy a Martis right now.
You know what? That should be a good choice with a Benny Cutie's performance right now. The Flicker is available for him to use, and Unravel still pulling off the same strategy. Chu just waiting on the backside. JP still alive. Jeet Kune Do doesn't land. Shupo will be used, and he will not fall. That was just, you know, the quick, intense fight, but no results.
Wow, interesting match so far, and those shrubs there in the river close to the turtle pits or the lord pits, the main objective pits, are going to be key because that is where a lot of the heat map is for Aura, especially Greed and JP when they rotate, hence why Unravel stays there a lot. Of course, he is a jawhead, he has a lot of elements of surprise, knowing that Aura PH, specifically JP, is so busy against roaming, with roaming. Unravel's intent is going to be more to try and just get pickoffs on the river.
Kilowatt has to heal up, but this is a 4v1, and he's just going to go down. Lunox will be able to secure the kill, and on the other side of the map, though, Aura PH will be able to secure this turtle for free, since Work actually placed 4 people on the top side.
Yeah, and Kosei keeps getting sent back a lot. Aura PH are pushing heaven and earth, just to make sure that Kosei can barely get any farm. And this is going to be a problem here for Work Oster Force because they're missing out on that burst that the Farsa can dish out. Yes, he'll still have the Feathered Airstrike, it will still hurt, but it's not going to hurt as much as it can.
And not as hurtful as Omega Esports Farsa last night.
Yeah.
That was the key example of how you want to play the Farsa. But going back in this game, Work Oster Force, they're still at least keeping up in goal, but Aura PH has been finding opportunity after opportunity. And Unravel, it's up to him to unravel the strategy of Aura PH, try to find one back for Work Oster Force, but right now, Aura PH is in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and because that they have the Martis with the killing spree on their side, Aura PH, they have a high potential for just chase down turnaround kills. Because of the extra movement speed you get from Decimate if you get a kill out of that, as well as the movement speed that you get getting a kill from killing spree, there's a reason why every time we see Benny Cutie secure a kill with an ultimate, he just moves so fast.
Well, Benny Cutie right now still 3-0, but in the top side, 3 Martisi just walks away. Greed will find with a yin yang overturn. 3 Martisi still alive. Unravel on the backside. Jeet Kune Do land. The flicker, he misses the combo, and that's crucial, baby. Baksha takes him down, and they're still going in. 3 Martisi, you're up next, but that's gonna be the region kicking up, and JP a little bit too aggressive there, and that's a 1-for-1, both on each side.
Both questionable plays there by the tank supports. First, initially Unravel, as you mentioned, missed the combo. He got the flicker. That was a beautiful flicker, but then he got a toss onto nothing, or I think it was a minion that he was able to toss. He missed it. And now for Aura PH, JP, a bit of a miscommunication there. I think he just wanted to get some room or actually go for the kill attempt, but then there were no minion ways for Aura to pass through the turret.
A little bit too aggressive, brought by the moment. Kilowatt finding one. Chu already stunned up, but Chu will be facing a lot of damage. It's Kilowash actually, but in the backside, the Giant actually goes down. But look at Bandicutie, the Mortical going back in business. That's a double kill for the Grangers. The Rhapsody picks one. 3 goes down for Work Oster Force, and no one goes down for Aura PH. And make that 4. Will it be another JP blunder though? Looks like it will be a 3-for-1 in favor of Aura PH.
Man, Aura instantly turning it around, and again, this is what you can get from the Aura lineup, because Work Oster Force having the Force on your side, when you have already used your Feathered Airstrike and it's an objective take, you're gonna back off right away. Because you already secure, you've done your mission, you've done your job, which is to secure the objective. But then Aura PH can turn that around with the lineup that they have to just chase after Work, who just committed their abilities, some of them being escapes and their big damage dealing abilities to secure their objective. They won't have the tools to actually fight a chase attempt by Aura PH. So now that's something that Work has to watch out for and balance. How much abilities, how much firepower are we going to be using to just try and get this turtle? Because Aura PH are going to chase after us once that's done.
Yep, a 2v1 here. 3 Martisi might just want to stay careful. He has to go back. I think Work Oster Force is in no condition to try and pull an aggressive play like that one. Maybe in a team fight scenario, maybe in this mid lane. That's 4 people invested by Aura PH and 2 people in the mid lane for Work Oster Force. 20 seconds from now, the first Lord will be spawning.
With the Lightning Truncheon now just picked up here by Greed, Chu has to really time in his entries, and the rest of Work Oster Force need to watch out for their positioning, because if they get caught all together with just the Yin Yang overturn, with the Umbrella Toss, it's gonna be bad news for Work. So Greed as well needs to time his abilities really well, because he has high potential now to just absolutely bring down Work.
Oh no, JP, why'd you gotta check that out? But he has the Shunpone, the Jeet Kune Do, but the Flicker is burned as well. A lot of resources just to escape. But look at this, Aura PH, they're just going in, getting turrets, getting the gold. And Aura PH looks like they're gonna start the Lord as well in a few moments.
Yeah. Lord 80's already starting it. JP still out of position, so Work Oster Force, seeing as how they know that they sent JP back, they can go in here and see what's gonna happen.
Oh, Feathered Airstrike doesn't really land on a lot of people. Kosei wasting that ultimate, and Unravel will be tanking a lot of damage with 3 Martisi here, but the Kagura will finally take down the Giant. Bandicutie on the backside is a little bit too aggressive. The Lunox takes down the Mortis, and that's a mega kill for, I think that's Arteezy.
Yeah.
5 and 1.
Ooh, good job there by Work, stopping the rest of Aura PH from helping Bandicutie. It really looked like Bandicutie was just waiting for the rest of Aura to push through. Because Chu was there, he couldn't continue the path he was going on, because then Bandicutie would have been sandwiched. So he did the next best thing, which was try to fight it out, or then go towards the river or in the middle lane. But again, because Aura PH just could not get through, they were stuck trying to deal with Unravel, and I believe 3 Martisi as well. Work Oster Force were just able to get a kill on Bandicutie off of that.
And Bandicutie, I feel like he had his fun in the early game. But right now we're entering mid-game, and late game he didn't really respect the damage coming in from Work Oster Force. Just went in by himself, flanking. He dealt a significant amount of damage, correct me if I'm wrong. But
it was a good attempt at a flank, but the problem just was him and Aura, or I think the entire Aura squad, just didn't realize how long it would take for Aura to break through Unravel and just help out and meet up there.
True. The rendezvous point wasn't really exact for Aura PH there, and Aura, they need to make sure that when JP goes for the flank, or Bandicutie rather goes for the flank, they know on the timing. They at least force things to happen. But Work Oster Force looks like they're gonna dance with Aura PH here for the Lord.
Yeah, and in the bottom lane though, Kosei and
Red team turret has been destroyed.
Kilowash just battling it out, and that turret's gonna get pushed there. It's gonna be a 4 versus 4 for this Lord.
That's Sonata used over there. RTZ looking for an opportunity. Bandicutie still high on HP. Kosei, the Order of Brilliance baited out. RTZ has to flicker back to safety, but there is no safety when the knockups are there. That's a Ranger getting 2 kills. Make that a triple if he gets more damage. The Rhapsody won't land on Chu, and Chu will still be alive. That's a 1-for-none trade in favor of Aura PH.
Fantastic shrub check there by Greed, and I'm not sure if you were able to catch that. To you watching at home right now, Greed timed the flame shot so that when it was tossed, it would land right on RTZ when he went out of brilliance. That slow was more than enough to give Aura the time to take down that Lunox.
And speaking of taking down the Lunox, Aura PH also took down the Lord almost for free. There was no contest from Work Osterforce after they lost one member. Now Aura PH, they're one Lord strong, will be pushing down in a top lane. Let's see if Aura PH could capitalize on this moment. Endless Battle already picked up by Benecutie here.
Yeah, and that is gonna give him the sustain that that Martis is known for. Of course, when we're playing it in our just regular pub matches, when we see a Martis show up, we're wondering, why does he have a crazy amount of lifesteal? That Endless Battle will unlock that potential.
And this battle will be endless. Unravel finds JP, and JP will be running around the corner. Creed already low in HP, and Aura PH, surprisingly, they survived that attempt.
Yeah, and look at that, the Uranus and Baksha are just like, they're stuck in their own world. They're really just doing what they need to do, which is sustain and hold that lane. But Baksha now, though, Kilowatt, might want to consider just continue pushing that. Yes, he is. So that applies more pressure to both side lanes of Work Osterforce, and especially 3 Martizi, because now he's really gonna time and really gonna think about his rotations.
Up, Yin Yang Overturn used their Order of Brilliance used to defend himself, but looks like JP, another good eject coming in from Unravel here. That's the Thorn Gross taking down one, but Shu might just be in trouble here. He has to go back. Benecutie, look at the damage coming in from Benecutie, but he disappears with triple kill for the Lancelot, and Lord Hades looks to be next. Unravel trying to find an opportunity here. Kilowatt will be in the middle of Remar and Unravel. Lord Hades, he dashes away with a Rondo, but the mega kill goes to the Lancelot as he dashes and flashes out on Aura PH. This just might be a maniac if he wants to, but Kilowatt is way too tanky. They're gonna take down turrets instead.
It was an unofficial maniac by Chu. He has to be careful here against Kilowatt's Baksha. Miscommunication there, a miscalculation by Aura and JP, but I think Unravel also was a big part of that. The entry there by Benecutie could have been absolutely devastating, but Unravel as the tank, holding down, being the anchor, staying by his back line to get the ejector off.
And definitely that's Aura PH having a little bit of blunder there, but 3 Martizi tanking a lot of damage. But you know, this is just Uranus things. He'll just eventually regen up. Back to that fight though, that was amazing coming in from Work Osterforce. Chu found so many opportunities in that fight, especially with the Thorn Rose, and not to mention Phantom Execution wasn't even used in that fight.
Yeah, it's a long gold lead, or for most of the game it's Aura PH who had control of the gold, but now Work Osterforce with that turnaround find themselves in a 1k gold lead, and the experience swing though favoring Aura PH still, but Work Osterforce were able to bring it close in terms of the gold.
And speaking of close, they might just close out Kilowatt here. Kilowatt goes down to the Lunox, and this is an immediate kill for the side of Work Osterforce, and they immediately go back. Work Osterforce, they take one and a turret down bot.
Wow, Work seems like they are on the road to revenge, avenging their loss in the very first day of MPL Season 7 against this exact same team. The growth is showing, the maturity, the experience of playing 4 weeks in the MPL is coming in big for Work Osterforce. Meanwhile, the hot streak of Aura PH, it seems like the veterans and the former champions have just been absolutely surprised by Work.
Work Osterforce, definitely one of the more surprising teams. Back at it again with the TP 3 Martizi. I don't recommend that you do that exactly for this reason. A 3v1, that's the way of the dragon. He just might go down, but he's still alive, still breathing. Here comes Work. Joe in the backside, kills down to Kagura, and he's going back at it again with the dashes, and Lord Hades goes down for the double kill. Make that a triple kill for the Lancelot. That immortality doesn't mean a thing, baby. Work Osterforce just clears out 2 members, no, 3 members coming in for Aura PH.
The TP bait play works, but here comes Benecutie onto RTZ. Gonna try to burst him down, but Benecutie needs to get out of here. Chu's going in for the chase, and that's a killing spree for RTZ.
Work Osterforce, they're way too spicy right now. This is spicy level 5. The chicken wings are just going insane.
Stop making me hungry, man.
Osterforce This is insane! 17 minutes in, they're trying to end the game, and the TP Jutsu actually worked out for them right now! And is this just it? Work versus Aura Part 2, Electric Boogaloo goes to Work Osterforce!
The TP play worked! And as so many wise men and women throughout the ages of Philippine esports have said, debated.
Oh my Jesus! I just have to say, this winning moment is brought to you by Head and Shoulders. Put your game face on and finally say goodbye to those awkward itch GG moments. Thanks to Head and Shoulders, 100% dandruff-free and itch-free, now mas mabango pa. Last week they lost because of that TP, and now they won because of that TP. What a game from Work Osterforce.
You cannot tell a better story. Good thing you brought that back up again. The last time we saw Work Osterforce pull off a TP like that, it was Chu who, unfortunately, because of that, Blacklist International were able to get the momentum from that in that game 3 and win it. But now Work Osterforce is like, no, we're gonna
do it
be
again.
better. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna be better this time around. The TP play by 3 Martizi, of course, that was initially just used to buy time for the Lord, but then it looked like a fantastic opportunity for Work. 3 members of Work were by the Lord already starting it, but then since the members of Aura already blew their skills, Work were able to secure the kills.
That was quite the story to tell for Work versus Aura, but I'm sure Midnight has more things to say to us, so Midnight, take it away.
Denied ang naging story dito for Aura PH. Work Osterforce denied them the opportunity to introduce properly the Martis and the win streak din ng Aura PH. Once again, welcome back to The Understand. My name is Midnight and ating i-break down kung paano dinemolish ng Work Osterforce yung streak or yung momentum ng Aura PH. Let's look at first the post-game stats here brought to us by Smart, the official tournamental co-partner of MPL. Free-to-game great with Smart, free games for all. Now, there are 2 conditions here for Aura PH. No? Number 1, kailangan nilang makaharap ng early game snowball. And number 2, they should close the game as soon as possible. Kasi pag umabot tayo late game, tingnan nyo yung hero sa side ng Work Osterforce, nakakatakot kalabanin yung late game nila. There's a high sustain on the Uranus and there are ample of damage on the form of Lancelot, Lunox, and the Farsa. Hindi naman sila kulang ng damage actually sa side ng Aura PH. But it's harder to close the game against this lineup of Work Osterforce na kaya mag-defend and at the same time has long-range nukes against Aura PH. And very crucial actually dito yung naging itemization ni Hades. He went with the Thunder Strike and then proceeded to buy the Athena Shield and the Thunder Belt. Dito natin naramdaman yung suffering ng Aura PH na kinukulang sila sa damage output. Mostly, it was Benny QT and Greed that is dishing out the damage output during the later parts of the game. Kasi si Lord Hades, kailangan niya isipin yung pwesto niya. Number 1, of course, you're playing against the Lancelot. And number 2, yung burst potential mo against the heroes of Work Osterforce. Ang dami nilang control actually. Meron silang Cho, meron silang Kagura, and meron din silang Baksha. But the thing is, you need to burst down the heroes on the side of Work Osterforce. And they suffered because of the build. Hindi naman mali ni Lord Hades. It's just that the adjustment didn't really fit the playstyle that Aura PH was playing kasi nga kinukulang sila sa damage. Of course, napakaganda rin kasi ng pinapakita ng Work Osterforce. No? They can really protect their own box. Kahit pa may Baksha, yung Aura PH, kayang-kaya nilang protektahan si Chu, even Martizi kapag Aura PH, if they decide to go on the Uranus, lagi sila nag-group up and they always fight as 5. That's the thing with Work Osterforce. Hindi nila hinayaan na mag-snowball ang Aura PH. Mamaya actually makikita natin yan sa ating highlights. Pero tingnan nyo muna yung ating mga rewards. No? Nanonood lang kayo, may chance pa kayo manalo ng in-game rewards. All you have to do is scan this QR code or punta kayo dito sa website, fill up a form, and if you're one of the first 30,000 entries, no, yung registrants, ay mananalo kayo ng skin na worth 599 diamonds. So kung pang hinihintay nyo, punta na kayo dun sa form at fill upan nyo na kagad yan. Now, let's move to the game highlights here. Brought to us by Smart, the official tournamental co-partner of MPL. Free to game great with Smart, free games for all. Makikita natin dito na medyo actually nahihirapan ang Work Osterforce sa early game, especially with the Martis on the side of Aura PH. No? Immune din kasi sa control yung Martis natin dito. So the likes of Jawhead will not really work against the Martis on the early game. Kaya nakita natin, naka-snowball kagad si Benny QT and he put a lot of pressure on the map. This time around, iniba ng Work Osterforce yung playstyle nila. Instead of splitting up the map, let's just group up and try to delay or defend the game against Aura PH. Kasi alam mo na pagdating ng late game, you have ample of resources to deal with how Aura PH is playing. No? Kapag nag-push ang Aura, you have a Farsa. If they try to gank a lane, you can have the Uranus sit on that lane. So, ang daming solution ng work Oster Force pagdating sa late game. Ang problem lang is paano tayo tatawid doon. Aura PH, they got a momentum. But again, the thing is, yung adjustments, no? Yung naging adjustment ng itemization dito ng Granger really did cause a lot of issues for Aura PH. Again, Imartizi sa may top lane, napakahirap patayin yan. And nakaka-respond pa actually yung work Oster Force. There are a lot of delays happening here for Aura PH. Of course, sila pa rin naman yung maganda mag-objective dito. No? They still have the Baksha that can destroy the box. They have been QT to help out during these team fights. But yung problema is that yung damage and yung cores na kailangan nila patayin, hindi nila nakukuha. Aura PH, again, still they are managing to get these key kills on the side of work Oster Force. No, napatay nila si Chu, kanina nakita nyo sa may bottom lane. Pero after that, naramdaman na natin na okay, parang nagiging online na yung heroes ng work Oster Force. No? Suddenly, yung damage parang hindi na enough. And it started when the Lunox and the Farsa became online. Yung damage arsenal nila, sobrang taas. Kapag may nagpakitang hero sa harap ng Aura PH, they easily burst him down with the Lunox and the Farsa. Walang hesitation whatsoever. Sobrang, kahit sino makita ng work Oster Force, tatapon ni Johed pabalik. And next na makita natin, let's go for it. Kasi hindi sila pwede maging hesitant dito against Aura PH. Kasi matatalo sila down the line. Work Oster Force, ang naging playstyle nila dito is that whenever we see a hero on the side of Aura PH, let's establish a box and not leave it. Yan yung ginagawa nila, kaya lagi sila lumalaban as 5. Si Farsa pwedeng humiwala yan kasi mabilis naman respond, but that is the key here for work Oster Force. They never left each other. Kumbaga, teamwork is what makes the dream work. Look at this, Imartizi, top lane, sabi, okay, go tayo kay Uranus. Pero suddenly, there are 4 heroes going to the top lane to help out the Uranus. Siyempre, alam nila kasi crush to eh. And at the same time, mabubuhay din naman yung Uranus. And this is where you start seeing that they have no damage on the side of Aura PH. Problema na rin siguro na meron silang Baksha, but the thing is, Baksha was meant to destroy the box of work Oster Force. It's just that the late game adjustments were really not the right approach for the side of Aura PH. Again, yung naging itemization, yung adjustments ng Rager, it made a lot of issues kasi kinulang talaga sila sa damage. And of course, the MVP of that game brought to you by Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL. Break through your own limits, rise above, and be free to game great with free games for all. Ever since nag-qualify ang work Oster Force, no, Unravel has been one of the most consistent tanks out there. Napakalaki ng threat na ini-establish ni Unravel. Actually, it helps on building a solid foundation kung ano ba yung sinasabi nating box or yung territory ng work Oster Force. Kapag nandiyan kasi si Unravel, literal, kahit sinong makita niya, basta papasok na sa box, nagiging aggressive itong taong to. And that allows work Oster Force to get the victory here against Aura PH. That is it for the first series of the day. Ipapasa natin kayo sa ating mga casters.
Our first series of the day ends in a sweep, and what a way to end it. The TP Jutsu definitely gave work Oster Force nightmares last week, and this time around it's gonna give them good dreams. But what are your final thoughts in that funny ending, or this whole matchup rather?
Work Oster Force now with that win secures 3 points, meaning now they are in the lead in Group A. They can hammer that lead on even more because Aura PH are done for the weekend, but Work Oster Force still has 1 series tomorrow against Omega. So potentially, they can be going into Week 5 with a 5-point lead over Aura PH if they can secure a 2-0 win versus Omega.
Well, MPL Philippines Season 7 is presented by Smart, the official tournament telco partner of the MPL. Free to game great with Smart, free games for all. A lot has been said and a lot already happened in our first match. And this is just the first match of Week 4, Day 3. We have a lot of games upcoming in this day, and a lot of them are quite spicy as well. LPE versus NXP and Bren versus Onyx will be the next few games. You should be staying in tune with MPL, but for now, we will be taking a quick break.
Welcome to the Giga Life. Your passions, your stories, your life. Simplified with just one app. This is the future. The Giga Life in just one path. Experience more Giga moments when you make the smart choice. With the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. How do I know it's T1? Simple, smart, ako.
Are you keeping it real? I'm calling shotgun, wanna see my baby run. Oh, what's the word on the sea? We've been kicking up the dust, if you know what I mean. We got a good thing going. We got a good thing going on.
Moment na sana, pero hassle ang kate. Yung kati na yan, dahil sa dandruff yan. You need Head and Shoulders. Unlike beauty shampoos, tanggal ang dandruff that causes kate. No more hassle sa moment. Goodbye na sa kate dahil 100% dandruff-free ka.
Sikreto ng mga gwapong Master Gamer? Para fresh all day, bring your clay game with Master. New Master All-in-One Clay Wash. Fights germs, controls oil up to 12 hours, and helps prevent pimples. New Master All-in-One Clay Wash. Sikreto ng mga gwapo.
Express your online business. Express your online business.
When you look inside a JanSport backpack, you see a story that started in 1967. Since then, our mission has expanded to helping protect our environment for future generations to enjoy. It's a work in progress, but just this season we've used the equivalent of 13 million bottles worth of recycled polyester in our most popular backpacks. When you look inside a JanSport pack, you see our commitment to this brilliant blue planet we call home. And we're just getting started.
Nature is our ally, not our enemy.
We rely on nature as our life support system.
We are all connected. This is our opportunity for a new balance with nature. time to step up our game for conservation.
Let's gather for a team fight.
There's no other
To save the world.
Together we can protect and conserve species and their habitat.
Because together, anything is possible.
Victory! 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 Victory for nature! Together! 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 Possible!
From nothing. If it's fun out, you know I ain't stressing. I know you already know what it takes, so follow my lead, let's go. We can roll with the punches.
Don't listen to music, feel it. Born insensibility. I rap, therefore I am.
Everyone will be a legend. I must win.
What do you do when what you desire is beyond reach?
You use power that breaks barriers. The Giga Life.
Now in 5G.
Do you believe this is possible?
I do.
How do you know?
Simple, smart, acro.
Inevitable. Hey guys, I'm here with Kate and Bea.
Bad timing ang kate.
Baka dandruff yan? Use Head and Shoulders every day. Unlike beauty shampoos, tanggal ang dandruff that causes kate. Para di pa balik-balik, katigan for good na. Dahil 100% dandruff-free ka.
Hi guys, I'm here with Kate.
Para araw-araw, close na close. Max pinabango pa.
I see lots of spray.
Welcome to the pre-game show kung saan pag-uusapan natin ang susunod na mga laban. Ito ang MPL Philippines Season 7 presented by Smart, the official tournament telco partner of the MPL. Free to game great with Smart free games for all. Nakasali na ba kayo sa ating mythical raffle draw dahil bukas i-announce ko na kung sino nga ba ang mga winners doon. May makikita kayong QR code just right over here. Kailangan ng iscan ng QR code na yan para sagutin ang ating quiz na sobrang dali lang para may chance kayong manalo ng mga papremyo. Hindi lang yan, meron din kayong live watching rewards. Dahil sa pagpapanood nyo ng ating MPL, dapat may gift din kayo. Magkakaroon kayo ng treasure chest pag na-scan nyo itong QR code at na-fill up nyo yung form properly. First 30,000 every game day will win a treasure. Ano nga ba yung treasure na yon? Pwede kayong manalo ng 599 Diaz worth of skin. Now, MPL Philippines Season 7 is presented by Smart, the official tournament telco partner of the MPL. Break through your own limits, rise above, and be free to game great with free games for all. Get 1 gig a day for Mobile Legends, Facebook Gaming, and more, plus free 1 gig a day for 7 days. Just dial *123# or download GigaLife app and choose free games. Ako po si Mara Aquino at kasama ko ngayon, napakahusay na casters. Nandito si TDZ and Raptor.
Mara, sobrang saya ako na nakaupo ako kasi kung hindi, sobrang ego lang ako dito kay TDZ. Salamat lang na nakaupo dito tayo sa set natin. Thank goodness.
Etong susunod na laban natin, TDZ Raptor, ang NXP kontra LPE. Now, these are the two teams that just recently stopped their losing streak and they want nothing more than to build on their victories. Now, recap tayo. March 20th, ang unang sabak nila ngayong Season 7. Nagtapat itong dalawa at nanalo itong LPE. A lot of people were surprised actually dahil bagong koponan sila na 2-1 nila ang Next Play Esports.
Yeah, this almost really looked like a 2-0 para sa NXP. Ang ganda nung pinakita nila nung game number 1. It was a very long series. LPE especially here, dito natin nakita nila na paano sila mag-manage pag umabot na sa mid to the late game when we need to finish the game. LPE nung game 2, si Jake the Dog, heroic performance on the Harris. And then in game number 3, naglabas sila ng double marksman with the Bruno and the Claude as well. And we're starting to, this is where we also saw glimpses of Rafaela breaking into the meta for this season. It was a fantastic showing by both of these two teams. Honestly, we saw the improvements ng NXP, how they're a little bit more disciplined this time around. Mas maganda yung galaw nila, but it just wasn't enough against LPE.
Ito makikita mo talaga yung yung pagka-execution eh. Kumbaga itong week na to yung time na talaga nagkakapalabasan pa lang ng mga ating mga meta heroes. But it was perfectly executed by LPE.
Sobrang init ng laban na pati na rin sa social media itong si Ako nakuha siya, nag-picture sa social media na may tinapon na something at nag-trending ito all over Facebook. What now? Tignan natin kung ano nga ba ang comeback ng NXP. Ang NXP finally stopped their 4-game losing streak and now they are 2 wins with 8 points. They are wishing and hoping to get a win streak. Silipin natin ang mga manlalaro ng Next Play Esports. Next Play Esports wants to get back on the team. The first team that beat them ngayong Season 7. Now, you've seen how they both play. Ano nga ba dapat na kailangan gawin ng Next Play para masigurado na it's upside down naman this time, na sila ang makakasungkit ng panalo?
Well, nakita natin ang laro ng Next Play again after that 4 times na natalo sila pero nakakuha na sila ng magandang momentum. Ito yung kailangan nilang gamitin para mag-snowball lalo. Siyempre kailangan na ng magandang spark eh. So, with their recent performance, I think they already got it. Kailangan nila ma-execute yung draft nila and also the plans. They just need to play safely and get their power specs on.
Yeah, safely, but then at the same time, not too safe na mawawala yung identity na nila na, boom, we're Next Play, we're gonna fight, lalaban kami. They need to keep that alive as well. And just balance na lang ang kailangan ng NXP ngayon.
Sino nga ba ang maglalaro para sa Next Play Esports ngayong araw? Nandyan si Exort, H2O, James, Lancy, and Yawi. Wala si Renny J ngayon.
Interesting.
I wonder why.
Bakit kaya? This is the first time we're gonna see Exort and Lancy, in the same lineup. Lancy's gonna be going to the mid lane, and I think because of Exort's experience with, yung experience na niya na meron siya, he's gonna be going to the gold lane na nakita natin naman dun lumalabas din yung mga mage picks.
Yeah. At nakita ko dito si Exort, again, with his Eve, ang napapansin ko sa next Play Esports is all about the flexibility of their playstyle as well. Bihira ako makakita ng teams na talagang every game nag-iiba yung playstyle nila. Again, with the Eve, I guess this is the strength of NXP and they need to capitalize on it. Yeah?
Usually makikita natin si Renegade na naglalaro. So, sana okay ka lang. Ngayon, kakalabanin naman ng Next Play Esports ang isang koponan that wants to make it 2 in a row. Kilalanin natin ang Laos Playbook Esports. LPE is coming off such a surprising win from their last time.
Yeah.
Kung maalala natin to, ito yung Benedetta ni Bimo na habang naglo-lord sila, biglang napapuntahan dun sa base at nakuha nila ang kanilang panalo. Do you think that LPE can repeat the same surprise this time with NXP?
Not necessarily the surprise, pero yung marirepeat dito ng LPE is, specifically Bimo, is the consistency that he's shown all throughout the season na despite during the losing efforts ng LPE, si Bimo talaga yung one of the most consistent players ng LPE. And surprise? Maybe not, but consistency, definitely, dun makita natin.
Veteran moves para kay Bimo.
Veteran moves.
Alam niya kasi yung umaga parang sa sobrang tagal ko na dito sa MPL pa. Parang alam ko na yung mga ways para manalo tayo dito.
Yeah.
Napansin mo naman talaga, siya yung nag-ground break talaga ng pagkakataon. LPM mananalo sa game na to.
Silipin natin kung sino nga ba ang mga manlalaro na sasabak ngayon para sa LPE. Jake the Dog, Aspect, Arvs, Royota, and Bimo.
Other than Bimo, though, I also want to look for the rotations of Arvs, how the two are gonna be setting the tempo para sa LPE. Now, because it seems like yung anchorman lang ngayon ng NXP will be Lancy. Lancy is gonna be going up against a very experienced duo in Arvs and Bimo naman. But then other than Arvs and Bimo, sino pa sa tingin mo sa LPE, TDC yung we have to watch out for here?
Well, tingin ko talaga, it's all the five-man composition of the LPE itself. Not more of an individual, pero kasi ang laking factor ng mga times na hindi sila magkakasama sa kanilang bootcamp. But now, I think they're now all grouped up at yun yung kailangan nila when it comes to team communication. And also going back to the reference earlier, iba talaga yung communication, yung impact kapag magkakasama kayo, and also that shows na yung playstyle ng LPE is already back.
Yeah.
LPE and NXP, actually magkadikit lang sila sa ating Group B standings. NXP at number 4, LPE at number 5. Sino nga ba ang magka-climb up? And this head-to-head is brought to you by Oppo A94. Experience gaming at full speed with the all-new Oppo A94. Get yours now for only 13,999 pesos. Ito ang ating game story for today, climbing out of the bottom. Nasa bottom sila ng ating Group B at kailangan nila manalo itong next play. 2 wins, 5 losses. LPE 2 wins, 3 losses.
And this is a must-win more for next play. Kasi, well, for LPE, because they are just, if they can win this 2-0, they're still going to be 1 point below NXP. That's how much in a dangerous spot they are in. Kahit mag-drop dito ng isang game man ang NXP, meron pa silang considerable lead laban sa LPE. So this is definitely must-win more para sa LPE.
A win today will help both teams come out of the basement. Now, kumpara natin yung mga numero, yung ating stats ngayon. What is standing out to you the most, TDZ?
Nakikita ko dito yung aggressiveness ng Next Play Esports. Looking at the KDA, 2.9 and also kills per game with 14.3 compared to the stats of LPE. Nakikita ko dito with the execution talagang living up to the name itself ang Next Play Esports. Ang napapansin ko with the game timer, average win time, mas mabilis nilang na-execute. So it's all about the flow of the game para sa NXP. If they're able to get the early game or capitalize on their early game, most probably mas mahihirapan ang LPE dito na makontrol yung games when it comes to mid game to late game.
Who will have a better flow and who will have a better control? And who will be the head and shoulders above this competition? Put your game face on and finally say goodbye to those awkward #ItchGG moment thanks to Head and Shoulders. 100% dandruff-free and itch-free now. Max mabango pa. Ito ang ating team key players mula sa NXP, Exhort, H2O, and James.
Yeah, for Next Play Esports, Exhort, H2O, and James. Sa H2O naman kasi alam naman natin na isa rin siya sa mga mas comfort niya yung mga heroes na Ling and also Roger. So looking at the playstyle, talagang aggressive dito ang si H2O. At kapag nakakuha niya yung magandang flow, it will give H2O a good lead. So ang nasabi ko talaga sa NXP is early game eh. Kailangan talagang magamit nila yung early game nila with aggressive, with the combination of Exhort as well when these mages.
Yeah, pero one of the more surprising stats from what we saw in NXP earlier, na malapit lang yung KD ni H2O at saka ni Exhort, meaning that Exhort plays a little bit safer and at the same time, mas maganda yung equation niya in terms of the kills but he converts. But now, para sa LPE naman, Bimo, Ryota, and JTD being the key players for LPE, I like the selections here. We don't see Aspect, but definitely the side lanes here are gonna come in big. Ryota and Jake the Dog, they're gonna be up against James and Exhort naman. Ryota, I'm gonna look more towards para sa LPE. Not to discredit Jake's the Dog's abilities naman, maganda naman yung galaw din niya and he has had heroic moments, but Ryota, outside of Bimo and Aspect, also one of the more consistent players ng LPE. Even if he's having a tough game, he'll still try to make plays na parang, uy, gets ko naman yung ginagawa niya. Like, it didn't work in the past, but then the idea is there.
Now, meron tayong mga consistent na manlalaro na ikukumpara natin, and these feature players will do all they can para hindi ma-GG. They can bring their clay game with the all-new Master all-in-one clay wash. Ito ang sikreto ng mga gwapo. Ito ang dalawang manlalaro mula sa jungler role H2O and Aspect.
Napansin ko dito sa player comparison natin is the kill participation. Mas nag-group up early ang Next Play Esports and compared to LPE. But MVP count talagang highlight din to si Aspect eh. Once nakakuha na agad siya ng magandang momentum para sa kanyang core player, isa siya sa mga heroes na talagang nag-respond kaagad sa aggressiveness ng kalaban. And they can take advantage of that kung tutusin. Since aggressive dito yung NXP, since kaya din mag-counterplay ng LPE, I think this will be a very intense fight.
Yeah.
Silipin natin ang aning laning prediction. Meron tayong mapa dyan. What's standing out to you the most?
Well, of course, the adjustment for NXP, putting Exhort in the non-turtle lane, going up against Jake the Dog. On one side, you have captain mentality, shot caller style coming from the mid lane. Meanwhile, Jake the Dog, he's known more for the highlight plays or trying to go for the highlight plays. He can be the secondary carry for LPE. Contrasting yung playstyle nila, magkaiba, and it will make for a very interesting matchup doon.
Etong dalawang koponan nais umakyat sa ating standings and going back to their winning ways. NXP kontra LPE. Bakbaka na, Shoutcasters. Pasok!
This is the match that LPE has to win. More reasons than one. Welcome to the second day of the day. Second series of the day. LPE versus NXP. And we are your Shoutcasters. I'm Nomad. Alongside with me is Uomi. NPL Philippines Season 7 is presented by Smart, the official tournament telco partner of the MPL. Free to game great with Smart, free games for all. Now, if LPE 2-0 this, Reptar did a good point. They're still going to be a point behind NXP.
Well, LPE right now, if they do win, they actually don't have a choice. They have to win this. And most likely they would want to sweep next play in this whole series. They really can't afford to lose any more games. But as we continue to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, we encourage everyone to follow the government's health and safety protocols. This includes practicing social distancing, wearing a face masks and face shields, sanitizing, proper hand washing, and staying at home as much as possible. Let's all do our part, stay safe, and help stop COVID-19. But going back to my point, Nomad, I have to say, LPE, They can't afford a loss right now. They're not exactly in the position that you might want to call safe. And next play, they're pretty much the same, honestly. But next play has more room for error. And speaking of room for error, there's no Renegade right now. And I'm not saying that Exort is an error here. But I'm saying is Renegade is one of the core players of what makes NXP NXP.
Yeah, the last time that Exort played in the NXP lineup was when they subbed out Lancy. It was always a Renegade, and Exort was always in Renegade and a Lancy. And this is the first time that we're seeing the Exort Lancy duo on the side lanes. It's something that we really have to look forward to see if the adjustments have already been made by NXP regarding the lineup that they have. But judging by how Doggy just drafts for his entire team, he just drafts for the entire team directly. He knows what the strengths and the weaknesses are for his players, and it is 100% guaranteed that this may still be the standard NXP that we all know and love. But let's just go back to the
Just have to say that they're still a team that could pull off a victory here, that's for sure. Exort is no stranger to competition. In fact, he's played for several teams apart from Next Play. So right now, for Next Play, they are in a slight disadvantage considering that they're not used to this lineup. Again, comfort is key here. And if you look at Doggy's style of coaching, it's not really one of those coaching styles that are like, let's just say it's unorthodox. It's a very different in such a way that almost all of their strategies and all of their mentality are up online. And you would look at Signal Ultra that loves to dwell in that mystery, but same mystery gave them a 0-6 start. So this is a very different MPL that we're looking right now. And Doggy as a coach, right now, subbing out Renegade because of a lot of issues, I just have to say this is a very crucial match, that's for sure.
Yeah, a crucial match and a crucial move for that matter. With the external factors already taken into consideration, you would really agree to sub out one of your best players just so that they can get a little bit of more cooldown, they can get the limelight out of their spotlights, so to speak. But there will also be times when you could also just get away with just playing, letting your player play the game. Because Renegade has been consistently good for NXP for the better part of the game. We're not saying that Exort is not consistent. It's just that we're just used to seeing Renegade
we're used
play.
to seeing Renegade, and Renegade is one of those players that when you think NXP, you think Renegade,
Yeah.
right? And when you lose a franchise player in a crucial game, it doesn't affect the game in-game immediately. The first thing you feel is that it's a different NXP, it's a different aura. When you have someone like Renegade out, you feel the absence. And for Exort, I mean, no offense, like Exort definitely is one of the more competitive players out there. He has some big shoes to fill right now.
He also has the veterancy and luck because he has played in previous seasons of the MPL, and with the veterancy that he adds to the table, as well as Doggy, who was the coach for Aether Main during Season 1, it could really still prove a factor here for NXP. But let's go back to, let's hop on over to LPE this time around. LPE, BMO, my goodness, that was a beautiful BMO Deta play from him coming in last week. We haven't seen Yako play throughout the entire season, and this is the LPE that's already playing together in one boot camp, where the previous weeks that we've had before, LPE was all separated.
Isolated.
That's isolated as well. That's a proper term there. And do you think that with the current setup that LPE has right now, and it was sort of a rocky start from them in week 3, do you think week 4 it's different? It's a different story this time around?
Well, I'm definitely hoping that LPE has already recovered from that rocky start, considering that they did show signs of life. And when you get a morale-boosting win, unlike how BMO ended that game with the Benedetta, it's something that gives you more spirit to go on. And gives you more, when I say spirit, it's something that you could use to motivate yourself while you practice more, because I hate to not use stats, but I have to put it in such a way that if you put yourself in a situation or in an environment that allows you to absorb more things, you learn more. And it's not different in esports. For LPE, that morale winning boost, that morale boosting win that they got from BMO is more than enough to put them in a healthy environment that, yes, we could win. Yes, we could learn more things as we go on in this tournament. We're still not in the place to celebrate, but we have wins now.
Yeah. And judging by the fact that BMO has been... let's not forget about... aside from the BMO Deta play, let's remember the BMO flicker into the wild charge that caught 3 members off guard during last week. That was a play that really brought LPE back to life. Those were the types of plays that LPE really want to make happen here against NXP. But with everything aside...
And... sorry.
Go for it.
Anyways, we need to go... If we're going to talk about LPE, let's talk about their journey as well in the open qualifiers, because that's very relevant information to take on how LPE is doing right now. LPE didn't have the same record that I think that Work Osterforce had in the open qualifiers. It's pretty funny. When we talk about the open qualifiers of MPL Season 7, the main name that we always see is Work Osterforce. Work Osterforce, undefeated. Chu, no deaths. But let's not forget that LPE had an insane series with Archangel as well in that final bout for that spot in MPL regular season in this Season 7. And LPE, they went through a lot. Not just a rocky start in the regular season, but also a very shaky and a very, let's just say, it's like the typical shonen anime where they only get by an inch.
Yeah.
And as we go further in this season, I just want to see LPE rise from the ashes, man, because they definitely had a bad start and they're finally getting the wins that they want.
Yeah, and it's good to see Coach Panda back in action. Good to see Yako back in the LPE roster as well, back in the MPL for that matter. These guys have been battling it real tough because the process that LPE had in selecting their team is a grueling process, and these 5-6 guys that made it into the roster of LPE deserve the slot to be in LPE, and they deserve the slot to be here in the MPL as well. Now, all that said and done, what are the primary factors that we have to look forward to here when it comes to the draft, when it comes to how the teams would be playing the game? Let's start with NXP.
Well, for NXP, as I said earlier, Doggy's style of coaching is quite unorthodox. We did see him say that Roger wins games, but statistically speaking, hasn't won any game in MPL Season 7 regular season, and they need to make sure that they avoid using these theories and stick with comfort. I think Midnight was the one who said that as well, that he wants to see Next Play stick with what makes them comfortable. And I've heard from the people or the fans of Next Play as well from social media that they really don't want to see H2O on their Roger. They want to see H2O on that Ling, on that Yisun Shin. Things that are H2O picks, quote unquote. So NXP, they definitely need to make sure that they go for comfort in this scenario. They don't have Renegade, that's for sure. All the more reason to go for comfort, go for something that they're really used to playing, and not try things out. Roger does not win games.
Depending on the lineup, yes. Roger does not win games all the time. Now, comfort is what NXP wants to look forward to. What are we looking forward to for LPE this time around?
For LPE, the rocky start was almost... I think we can't blame miscommunication for the most part of that one. They were isolated, but they weren't playing as well as they wanted to as well. They shifted their draft a little bit coming week 3, week 4, and we actually went in to see LPE win more games. And speaking of winning more games, the last time they met in week 1, day 2, LPE actually won 2-1, and NXP in their winning game, they drafted a 1-1 and an Alice, but we have to take note that all of these games were played with Renegade on the 1-1 and the other side laners in this week. Meanwhile, for LPE, a lot of the things that worked out for them are the ones that had a lot of information and pick-off potential. With that Sylvana, that Benedetta, that Lee Sun Shin, but the most surprising one would be that last game on LPE's side, where they drafted 2 marksmen and won in 17 minutes.
Yeah, it's also a lineup that can really put a dent to NXP because they were focusing during this game. This was day 2. During this day, Roger was being focused on by NXP. A lot of the attention was on the Roger, and what happened there was that LPE just decided to draft heroes that can really deter, if I can say so myself, that could really deter NXP from going in. Getting that Sylvana, as soon as Roger decides to dive in, will just get stunned out. Getting that Chang-Oh to just provide a lot of cover fire towards the side of LPE, and I believe that this may just be the same draft that they're going for, because we need to, because if you're a team that's going out of the bottom, so to speak, you have to make sure that you check the aggression of NXP, I'm sorry, and then check the checks and balances that LPE has whenever they go for the drafts, because Panda has been drafting very good for LPE for the most part of the season.
Yep, in LPE right now, they're definitely wanting to make the smart choices in the draft later on. And LPE, they want to win this for sure. We've already discussed on the group stage standings here. Next play, not exactly in the safe position as well, but LPE even more. So they need to win this series. And for LPE, how would they win this series? Let's see on how Coach Panda will be drafting around Doggy's next play.
Who will make smart choices in the draft? Catch it next. Brought to you by Smart, the official tournament telco partner of the MPL. Free to game rate with Smart. Free games for all. Selena banned out straight off the bat by LPE. Next play answers with a Paquito ban.
This is a very standard banning phase for both teams here. Selena, Paquito, both great picks around the corner. A lot of teams already almost mastered these picks. But looks like next play will be banning out the Jawhead. That worked out for them last week. Yaoi played insanely on this Jawhead. Meanwhile, for Laos Playbook Esports, they're gonna take out the Eve, which wasn't actually been used already for Next Play Esports. I'm not quite sure on when or where did they use this Eve, but I feel like this is a more general ban instead. They don't want to deal with the Eve, especially with the newer buffs. Let's go to the third ban of LPE. Looks like Baksha will be their next ban. The Baksha-Alice combo was notorious last week. Almost all the games that had both Baksha and Alice won.
Yeah, and the potential Alice pickup here from NXP is really not far-fetched from reality. A good banter on the Basha, and this just shows that LPE has a specific draft in mind, though.
Yeah, in LPE right now, I feel like they do want to go for a more heal-oriented or a nice one baby meta type of composition here, considering that they are banning out that Baksha. Let's see their first pick here. We've seen some Rafaela primary or Rafaela priority picks, but let's see on how they're going to shape this draft. Their first pick will be a Benedetta, which is by far one of the more better priority picks if you're getting first pick.
Yeah, it's the Bimodetta, definitely. A Granger will be secured by NXP. Potentially going for the Rafaela, but we hear the Lunox being picked up.
Both of which deal so much damage. We've seen it from Work Osterforce last game. I think from Work, you know what, let's just call it last match. That Lunox and Granger combo deals so much damage by mid-game that you can't even expect a tank to successfully penetrate the backline and survive for the first 3 seconds, especially if the Lunox goes for the Chaos instead. He just goes ham. You just press that button again and again and again until the HP bars falls flat. Now, Next Play Esports, they have the chance to respond to the next 2 picks of LPE. What will LPE be securing to pair up with this Benedetta? I feel like a lot of backline access would be great here. Maybe steal away the link from H2O if they want. It looks like they're gonna go for the Claude and the Popol and Koopa. Popol and Koopa, surprisingly, since last week, has risen in terms of pick rate.
Yeah, and Popol and Koopa is a good answer here against the Granger as well. You will be expecting NXP to really roam around in the entire map. And if you have a Popol and Koopa that's placing traps inside brushes, you will not be face checking the bushes, and that is an added benefit here for LPE. Now, with the Claude being picked up,
Your team
it
is
going to be a little bit sort of a flex pick here. He is definitely going to be on the gold lane, depending if LPE will play it on the gold lane, because there is still a chance that it may just be played on the jungler side of things. But NXP responds with a Cho for their lineup.
Cho, one of the more popular heroes here around the MPL. Definitely one. A lot of players actually prefer to have that Cho in their arsenal, and Cho definitely one of the best flex picks as well. You could play him gold lane, you could play him support, and a lot of utility could be offered from the Jeet Kune Do, and a lot of flashy plays as well, or as we call it in the Philippines, the TikTok moments, or the TikTok. Basically, you know, an app is quite successful when it turns into a verb.
Yeah, like they did a TikTok.
Yeah, they absolutely did a TikTok.
Your team is banning.
Yeah, they absolutely did the TikTok for a lot of moments there in terms of getting shows or perhaps getting Claudes as well. And speaking of TikToks, there has been a lot of flack lately on the TP Jutsu, in which Work Oster Force lost the game last week. But this week, though, that same strategy gave them the game.
And we're seeing a Farsa being banned out here for LPE. NXP banning out the Bruno, choking out the jungle options for LP. I'm
Your
thinking
team is banning.
that Ling is an open possibility here for themselves.
And speaking of Ling has been one of the more comfortable picks for Nextplay Esports. Nextplay definitely wants to put comfort picks in H2O, but Granger is already there. It could be flexed in the gold lane, but we haven't seen a lot of Granger in lane. And it's more of a jungle pick right now in the current meta. So let's see on how LPE would want to draft further. They're going to ban out the mages for the second rotation bans, choking out the options here. No Eve, no Farsa, no Kagura. Lu Yi still available.
Lu Yi is a good option for NXP, but it is even more so a better option for LPE.
Especially for ARBs.
Yeah, that would be a good pickup for LPE. NXP needs to seal that away. What?
Did I hear Chang'o?
Oh, yeah.
Chang'o, one of the more range-heavy mages right now in the current meta, allows you to secure more objectives fast and secured as well. And looks like they're gonna go for the Harley. If this Harley is definitely gonna go in the jungle. So this is a gold lane Claude and a support Kaja.
It has been a hot minute.
Hot minute indeed, LPE. They're in this match with a very interesting draft, that's for sure. We haven't seen a lot of Kaja. Harley, we've seen it from time to time, but both at the same time. This is going to be very lethal in terms of pickoffs. LPE has the opportunity to just go in, Koopa taking a bite of anybody else, Kaja pulling him back, and Harley just raining in the cards. Deadly Magic will prove to be deadly for LPE. Meanwhile, for NXP, they finished their draft with a Lapu Lapu. I just have to say, Nextplay Esports, they're more, let's say, standard.
Yeah.
Their lineup right now is very standard compared to LPE.
This is a very experimental playbook from the side of LPE. If anything, I'm a little bit iffy about the Kaja pick, but I can see where it's trying to go. Go for the Divine Judgment to potentially pick off the Granger, or to force off the Order of Brilliance from Lunox, or anybody actually on the side of NXP, because you cannot purify yourself away from the Divine Judgment. The Harley will be able to dive in on the backline, do a little bit of a quick burst damage here onto Granger, and that's basically it. The only thing that LPE has to look out for is the Cho making the big plays. But we also have to take into consideration that BMO is on the Benedetta. That's also a hero that BMO really likes to play a lot and has been very successful for him. As we go into game number 1 in this best of 3 series, but it's back to us. How do you feel about the current lineup that we have right now for both of these teams?
Well, both of these teams rather are looking to, I think, based on LPE first. Let's talk about LPE. They have the more interesting draft. It's a clear objective. They're going in for aggressive pickoffs. I feel like they're gonna rush Harley to get that level 4. Deadly access to Deadly Magic means everybody in NXP is in immediate danger. If Kaja is able to secure his ultimate after a few minutes once the Harley's up in level 4, the pickoff potential coming in from LPE would be a little bit too lethal to handle, especially if you don't have mobility or you don't have flickers or even purifies. I mean, as you said, you can't purify Divine Judgment. And for Kaja, positioning will be key. And it's going to be LPE on the driver's seat for early, at least for my predictions, the driver's seat on the early game. But once mid-game starts, once we have the late game or late game big team fights, NXP definitely has more advantages. Yaoi's on the Cho, they have the Lunox, more AoE damage on their part, and they even have the Chang'e, which gives them more zone control in big fights.
And big fights are what we are expecting to come out here.
Wait, is this a new skin? Beautiful.
Yes, it is a new skin. A lot of people need to save up for. We're seeing the top, mid, and bottom lane here as we go into game number 1 in this best of 3 series between NXP and LPE. A little bit of a standard rotation here from NXP.
And this is as standard as it goes for NXP. They have a standard lineup, might as well play it in a standard way. H2O though, a little bit too dangerous out there. Ryota going in for the BMO Deta.
Good first blood. It's actually, it's a BMO Popolin Koopa. Alright, they're switching things up here this time around.
Definitely a switcheroo for LPE. They want to keep things fresh for NXP, and NXP looks like they will be having a disadvantage early on. H2O going down. They do not want this to happen. Very much delayed here. H2O finally secures that purple buff, and Yaoi had to take a lot of damage in order for H2O to secure that.
That was a big delay onto the buff on the side of H2O.
Level 4 Harley.
Level 4 Harley as well. Aspect is doing a good job here on the jungler role because he's relatively comfortable in the jungle. He doesn't need anybody else. And that's the beauty of having the Popolin Koopa and Kaja on your side. You can freely roam around the entire map and force advantages, force plays away from your opponents.
And speaking of forcing disadvantages on NXP, NXP hasn't been a good team in terms of recovering from disadvantages. A lot of the times that they find themselves in bad spots, it just snowballs into a very terrible defeat. But for NXP though, the moment they find one chance, they go for it. It's one of those teams that's very 50-50. I'm not saying that NXP is a flip coin team. What I'm saying is when they get big advantages, they win.
Much like the Maestro Eminem said in one of his classic musics, you only get one shot, do not miss a chance to blow, and that is what NXP is looking for.
Yep. Do not miss the Electo final.
That was bad. That was bad. That was bad. You tried it. I'd let it pass. But it was bad.
It was bad. It was terrible. But not as terrible as H2O dying from the Vendetta early. For NXP, they need to make sure that they give the space for H2O to scale. You do not want a Granger to be behind. And BMO is already just securing so much zone control. And the Turtle will be going to LPE uncontested.
It's looking like a 5-man rotation from LPE to all the members are going towards the top lane. They find Yaoi. Koopa is looking for a bite onto H2O, the Electro final blow in the back lines, and they get to get the first down onto H2O. They're going for Exort. Ryota just tanking the damage.
LPE, as I told you earlier, will get the driver's seat in the early game. Their pickoff potential after rushing aspect on this level 4 Harley, 2-0 right now. It's just going to give them so much advantages. And LPE, definitely on the driver's seat, has a lot of damage to spare. And Ryota has been stellar on this Vendetta, rotating at the right time and dealing damage and soaking up damage at the same time.
Good calls for LPE to go for the 5-man rotation to secure the kill and to force H2O in another disadvantage of that fight. Now, as we move on further to the 3-minute mark of the game, we are seeing LP really conduct a lot of pressure in the top lane to force landing in a bad spot as well.
this is it. This is just the game plan for LPE. Every time Deadly Magic is up, find the target, go with the Kaja, enter the turret, do what you must. Get the kills, then get the objectives. Immediately LPE is securing another kill with the Kaja ultimate. Yaoi though has the Shunpo to escape, but in the other part of the map though, an off-cam kill coming in from LPE.
Beautiful Divine Judgment there, forcing the flicker out, forcing the turret to go down. LPE looking for wins in the early game.
And not just wins, but also forced errors coming in from an NXP. And NXP, it feels like they're responding to plays rather than making it. H2O definitely not in the situation that he wants to be in right now. 0-2 and 0 for the Granger. Not a good sign with Harley. Level 8 already.
And already getting the second turtle of the game as well. LPE, they're eyeing out a death brush here.
This is the second turtle as well for LPE, uncontested once again. NXP, it looks like they don't know what they're doing.
Beautiful onto Ryota, and that's the Benedetta out. Not going to be able to eye for an eye out of there, but Jake the Dog will dive in the back lines to go for the Blazing Duet, forcing Exort Lancey to back down. And this can still be a fight that LPE can choose to go for. Didn't really see a good Divine Judgment from Marbs there.
Yep, H2O securing the purple buff with the Retribution. Thankfully,